Hello and a very warm welcome from Künzelsau to our first international WOW House Show. My name is Björn Schleifer. I'm product trainer at WOW, and because of the current situation, it was not possible today to have my dear colleague Christian Burkhardt live here in the WOW House studio, but that's also no problem. We have him also live here, directly connected from Spain, from his home office place. And good morning, Christian. I'm very glad to have you here on the online way. Hi.
Hi to all. Hi to all. As you know, I'm Christian, in charge for diagnostic and emission products. I hope we will have a nice time today. Björn, your turn.
I hope so. We have a nice day. I'm sure we have a nice time. We have 30 minutes. We have a lot of topics for this 30 minutes, and yeah, we have to a little bit hurry up. I have to hurry up for this. And at first point, I would say we talk about the topics today. The topics will be the vehicle identification. So what possibilities do we have as a customer to search for the car, to select the car in our WOW software? We talk about the diagnostic socket location in the car, about our dia show for this. We talk about scan. We talk about high voltage system. So as you can see, we have here quite new e-Golf, Golf 7 with a complete high voltage powertrain system. And we will show here the battery health check of the car. So Christian will say later a little bit about this health check and how important it is today for salespeople. And of course, we will talk a little bit about the cybersecurity, the security gateway theme that we have currently all over the market, all over the multi-brand diagnosis. And last but not least, a very important point, a very special highlight functionality from our software. It's the so-named power repair module that we have inside of our diagnosis. And for this, I have here also the Ford Mondeo. I have disconnected some sensors inside of the engine room, and we have some fault codes stored inside of the ECU, of the engine ECU. And later we will see what happens in this case with our WOW system, what happens for the customer when we get some fault codes inside of the ECU. What can we give to the customer as help for a quick and a very professional repair at this car? Okay, so at first I would say we start with the vehicle identification with some different possibilities how we can select the car inside. For this, Sabrina, please share the screen with our participants. Thank you. So first step, the classical way to select the car is over our so-named pull-down menus. We can select the car over the manufacturer, over model, and also by clicking on the first letter of the name. For example, Volkswagen. We can with the V go directly to Volkswagen. Second selection possibility over our power search functionality means we can give here directly for the German market, for example, the key numbers. We can give here directly the VIN number of the car. We can give here directly the engine code of the car, or the quite simple possibility to give in the direct name of the model of the car. Means we have here the e-Golf, and as you can see, I type only 4 or 5 letters and we get directly to the e-Golf. We have a after selection for the right power inside of the car, or for the right engine code that we have inside of the car. And with 2 clicks, the car is directly located and selected, and we can start immediately with the scan, with the entry scan of the car. That's a big topic today in the workshops, and every time when we do trainings, when we do product sessions about our diagnosis, we always say it's very, very important for all customers today to do an entry check, an entry diagnosis scan at the cars when the customer brings the car to the workshop, to save the customer, to save the workshop itself, and to see what has happened in history with the car and what's with the car. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Do we have fault codes inside of the car when the customer brings it to us? And for this, like I said, it's always very important to do the entry scan. So for the entry scan, Christian, we have two possibilities inside of the program. What are these possibilities?
Björn, thank you that you are mentioning this. So we always recommend to use this power scan. This is an extreme powerful function. That means with this scan, we go like for Volkswagen on a gateway. That means we go directly to one ECU in the car and are able to read all systems at what time. Compared to the normal scan, the difference is in the normal scan, we connect to each ECU built into the car. That means in time, it takes much longer compared to the power scan. With the power scan, we get all ECUs that are built into the car. We get also the fault code information out of it. That's why we really encourage and recommend to use as much as possible the power scan functionality. That's a very, very important function that we have here.
Absolutely. As you had seen 30 seconds ago, the scan was not able to do. It's quite simple. Without ignition on, it couldn't work correctly.
Not possible to do it, for sure.
Absolutely. So if you do something inside of a diagnosis, at first you have to read and you have to understand what's inside. And when the system says turn the ignition on, you have to turn the ignition on for sure. Now you can see the system scan runs. And at this time, while the system scan is running, you see it's very, very fast, like Christian said. But by the way, one more important point for the diagnosis, and we see it here at the bottom. For every diagnosis type today, for every diagnosis session, and it doesn't matter, is the session 5 minutes or is it 2 hours, for every diagnosis session, it's recommended to have an external power supply on the cars. Means we have a lot of amperes which are flowing through the car, through the diagnosis. We talk about a minimum of 30 amperes up to 100, 120 amperes that are running through the car while we do diagnosis, while we have the ignition on. And for that, it's very, very important to have an external power supply on the car. We have it here on the Mondeo. It's a normal diesel car. We don't have it on the other side on our e-Golf. Christian, why don't we have some external power supply on the e-Golf?
So in this case, this is an EV car. That means an electric vehicle. It has a high voltage battery and it supplies the power basically to the 12-volt battery through the high voltage battery.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, Björn, that you are mentioning regarding a stable battery supply. Please, it's extremely important not to use a battery maintainer and also not a battery charger. In this case, we get a good voltage, but we do not get the correct amperage that we need to work. That means our recommendation is always never to use a battery maintainer, never to use a battery charger, always to use a stable power supply. And as Björn already mentioned, we need here more than 70 amps to work on different cars today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for this information. In my opinion, it's one of the most important informations today by working with diagnosis on the cars, because in most of the mines outside we have always the thinking less than 5 minutes, it doesn't matter to work with power supply or no power supply, but it's very important to do this, to don't bring in self-made faults inside of the car while we are diagnosing the car. Okay, in the meantime, we can see when we share once more the screen, please. Thank you. We can see the scan is done completely. We have also, as a quite new functionality inside now, the additional information about the VIN number, which is directly read out of the system, and also the mileage of the car. And when we now save this scan, you can see the VIN and the mileage automatically are typed in of our vehicle data sheet. We only have to type in here our license plate.
This was introduced in last software update. That means the possibility that the system reads out the VIN number, reads out the mileage or the kilometers, and put them automatically in as you're showing it to us into the report and also into the storage module.
Yeah, absolutely. In case of the vehicle number, it's a it's a huge advantage, because we have always to type in 70 letters and numbers, and so it's much easier. We have the data read out, and so it's automatically in.
One also a very important point is that if the system detects different mileages or different kilometers or also different VIN numbers, the system is going to tell you to select one or the other. This could happen if you are using used ECUs or have not reset the system correctly.
Yeah. And on top, additional, I will say, I had this case also with cars at some manufacturers. They bring their cars before the cars go as new cars to the sale workshops. They do some test drives with the car, and we have difference from 15 or 20 miles or kilometers inside. And before they go out as a quite new car, they reset, for example, the instruments and bring them as 0. And so we have there a little difference for this. Okay, so that's the part with the scan. We have seen everything is fine inside of the car, but scanning and repairing are not the only 2 points that we have on the cars. A huge point, and we talk about 70, 75, 80% of the life day of a workshop. We do normally maintenance. We do service work at the cars, and for this, it's also very important to have service functionalities inside. We have to reset the service information in the instrument. We have to adjustments when we replace parts at the service, for example, some filters or some sensors, also by repairing. And a very important point is the brake service today. So normally all other cars, or almost all cars, have electric parking brakes inside today. That means we have to block the system before we can do maintenance, before we can do replacing the braking pads at the parking brakes. And for this, we have, and most of the cars have to go inside of the system, have to put in a fault code so that the system is deactivated, and we can do the normal replacing of the braking pads. For this, as a little show today, I want to start this functionality, and I hope we can hear it over the microphone here. When I start the functionality, I will run to the rear axle. We take a look inside. So what Christian said before about the power supply, we said we have no power supply on this car, and you can also see we have 30.5 volts. that's what Christian said. We have an internal power supply, so the high voltage system is supplying the car. So we have here the resetting of pistons before service. Engine off, ignition on. The parking brake may not be active. I checked this before. I hope it was to hear over the microphone. If not, I was too slow. But now the brake, the rear brake has opened. We have a fault code inside of the system, and now it's possible for us to work very safely on the system to change the braking discs or the braking pads, etc.
Yeah, it's also very important for all the users not only to do a pre-scan, also a post-scan. That means, as you said, now it creates a fault code in the system after opening the brakes piston, and now we have also to delete them later with a post-scan.
Absolutely, very important to check to save every part that we do on the car. So we have a complete repair or scan history on the car. So we are complete
Safe in this
completely
case, in this case, because
safe. Exactly. Thank you.
if something happens, you have your reports, your pre-scan report printed and saved into your storage module, and you have also your post-scan report saved into your storage module.
Absolutely. Everything directly at the customer, as you can see here. Complete. Fine. So, Christian, I would say as a last point, I see we are 20 past 10. I have a little bit to hurry up. Last point at the Golf, we have to show the high voltage system at the car. And for this, could you give us some information about the high voltage systems today? What's very important inside of the program to work with, and what's very important for the customers?
Yeah, sure. Everybody talks about electric vehicles, and now we'll see more and more of the electric vehicles on the road, and also we see more and more used cars, electric vehicles, and in at used cars dealers. That means for those workshops or used car dealers that are buying and selling electric vehicles, is extremely important to verify, let's say, the most costly component of an electric car. That means the high voltage battery. We can say that the high voltage battery costs at least 40% of the complete car price. That means here we have to check how good or bad is the high voltage battery. For this, we have one function. The name of it is the health check of the high voltage battery, where we can check and verify the individual cells of the high voltage battery. That means we get a voltage of each individual cell in the built into the battery, so we can verify the complete system.
Yeah, as you can see, we have here the battery state of health, the health check, like Christian said. We have the VIN number, we have the mileage of this car, and also all the several cells of the car. Altogether should be around 400 volts for this car, and we can directly see by using the green and the red light inside of the information. Do we have a good voltage in the cells, or do we have no good voltage in the cells? And on top, we also see the direction of the cell. So we have a range of, you can see it in the reference list here, from 2.5 up to 4.2 volts. And when we see directly, we are here at 3.9 volts. And every cell is at 3.9 volt, and one or two cells are in the direction to 2.6 6 or 7 volts, we see directly, okay, in this moment everything is okay, but in a near future, in about round about some weeks or months or in 1 year, we could have trouble with this system, with the whole system, because the cell is going down, and that's one pre-information for the customer to say, okay, look at this, have a big look on this. There will become some trouble to you where you have to exchange some cells or the whole battery pack.
And don't forget, please, all workshops owners and supervisors, they must specially instruct their employees about the handling of these high voltage cars. And they need the right certifications that are needed in your country to work on these systems. This is extremely important. So basically, I can tell you in Germany, we have 3 different, let's say, levels of certifications. So one basic level, one middle level, and one high-end level. And depending of the type of certification you have, you are allowed to do more or less things. But at least all technicians in the workshop need the low level certification or the first basic certification to work on all topics on the car.
Absolutely. That's a very, very important point. It's international. It's not only in Germany. It's international and a very important point. Thank you, Christian, for this.
Check in your countries what is required, please.
Sorry?
Check in your countries what is required and what different levels you have there.
Absolutely, yeah. I have one question from our customer. Thank you for that. And on this, and at this point, also the information I forgot it at the beginning. If you have questions, don't hesitate to write them in. We have a chat functionality inside of the program. The chats will come. The chat questions will come to our Sabrina to behind the scenes, to behind the camera point, and she will give us the questions inside. And here's the question: it is hard to reset service in Volkswagen as it comes up with a long list to work through. Is there an easier way? It's a clear answer: yes and no. So we have we have an easier way, but the easiest way or the easier way is to do it manually via the instrument inside of the car. But the manual reset is only possible if the car gives us this possibility. And the second point is, with the manual reset, we can bring the car to the next long life service. So that means when we do it manually, the reset comes automatically back to the normal service, about the 15,000 kilometers and 1 year. All other reset has to be done via the wow diagnosis, and for this we have it in a much easier way than for example the OE, because we have a little package with all 3 points that has to be done, has to be resetted for the Volkswagen. We have 3 points. We have the oil service, we have the kilometer part, and we have the time part. We have to do all this, but we have not to go in several channels and bring them back and so on. So in my opinion, it's not the easiest way, but it's very easy to do it if you know it one time. I hope that's okay for this question. Christian, do you have something on top for this from your side?
Well, basically always to have following in mind. In general, there are basically 2 different options to reset it. Or you do it manually, as Björn already said. You can do it also through our diagnostics, but then this is a hard reset. That means it goes always back to a standard mileage or kilometer, usually 15,000. And the second system is, if we are talking about long life, that means high quality oils using in this oil change, and then it's time and kilometer mileage based reset. And for here you need for sure also your diagnostics. And remember, if you have done the reset manually, it will go automatically to the fix 15,000 kilometers back. And if you are using a high quality oil, long life oil, then you need to tell the car that you're using it for the distance or time reset.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely correct. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, last but not least point, at this point, I'm now sorry about yeah, a little bit of overtime that we need. It's not much, it's about 2 or 3 minutes, I would say, because the very last point will be a short information from Christian about the security gateway before we forget this very important point. But at first, I want to show you in a little short way the highlight functionality inside of the program named Power Repair. Means we have read out some fault codes out of the car and we get directly additional informations to this fault code. The mechanic in the workshop gets additional informations. You can say we put him on the hand and bring him to the right direction to get very short way for informations inside about the fault code, about the history of the fault code, for example, means the so-named freeze frames, all the data which are stored inside of the ECU when the fault code was recorded inside of the system. We get as a very highlight, we get some informations about the reference values. We get information about the data lists. We get information about the range of the values, and that's the specific and absolutely highlight inside to doing a long way of diagnosis in a very short time. We have the actual value inside. That means we have the data list, the real-time data from the diagnosis combined with the technical data of the reference values in the program. To show it you in a very easy way, I disconnected the inlet air temperature sensor before. We have here now the minus 40 degree, and when I connect this sensor, you will see immediately the system will go back to the correct way.
It's recognizing the value.
Sorry?
It's recognizing the value. Yes, sorry.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And so with this information, the mechanic can go in a very fast way through the system of the car and can decide for himself, have I to start the failure diagnosis in the inside, have I do the failure diagnosis on the sensor side, on the ECU, or on the actor side, for example. So before we get dirt hands, we have a lot of things done with only this functionality, and that's a huge advantage for the workshops. And it's saving time and also money with this functionality. Additional informations are also confirmed repair instructions to this point. That means when we have informations inside from the outfield, from the workshops, from your customers, we put these informations inside of the program, and you can directly see if you have this fault code, please check at first this sensor, this wiring system, this ECU, etc. All these informations are here inside. We have technical service notifications which come from the manufacturers in most of the times, and we have also wiring diagrams, the current wiring diagrams, online based inside of the program. That means we have here directly to the sensor, to all the components inside of the engine system. We have all the informations inside of the wiring diagram, and we have also, and that's the next important point, I have the fault code, I have the possible cause for it, I have the wiring diagram, but I have to know where is the part installed inside of the car. We have huge engine rooms, we have huge engine systems today, and we have to know where is the part installed inside of the car. We have for this the component arrangement also opened in the next window, and we can also go here inside of a directly component check. And as you can see in our screen, we have the diagnosis, we have the wiring diagram, we have the location, and also the component testing of the system, How cool is that? So we have everything inside of one window, have to click through the points that we need for our system for finding out what's wrong with the car. And we don't have to do it separately or by our own to find out where the technical data is, where the locations, everything the program says us directly to the fault code.
Björn, that means the power repair, or with the power repair, you are one click away from the information you need, correct?
Absolutely. In every way, you have directly access to all the online information from our side. That's a very important point. So we don't have here the offline technical data. They're also installed in the program, but we are here directly online. That means the data are every time up to date. We have the current information that we collect for these fault codes, and we have everything at one point, depending to the fault code that the car is given out to us.
Very interesting.
I think so too. Okay, and now the very last point, Christian, in one or two short sentences, please. What about security gateway functionalities at the cars today?
That's a good point you're asking here. As several of you have already heard, the SGV, or the security gateway systems, are built in today in several brands and models. We started beginning of this year with the Fiat Chrysler security gateway, and we are going to extend our coverage next year, introducing a Mercedes-Benz security gateway coverage. We are working on a user portal where the customer is going to register by himself and is going to be able to use then the security gateway systems from Mercedes-Benz. But more brands are coming also for next year. This will be an extremely interesting year.
Definitely, they will come. Definitely. Perfect. Thank you so much, Christian, for this information. On top, one information from my side for this: if we have some functionalities inside where we have to do something for getting access in the car, for example, Volkswagen Group at some models, we get the information about this directly inside of the diagnosis. For example, to open the bonnet of the car to come in the diagnosis mode, etc. All these informations are also inside of our diagnosis software and system. Good. 4 minutes over the time. I hope that's finally okay for so much information in 30 minutes. I have to take a look in the receipt. No. The director gets okay, says okay, we have no more here. We have the questions for later. We will stay inside of the chat for a few more minutes now, but we closed the window, the microphone and the camera picture. At this point, thank you very much from my side. At first to Christian to connect us via internet, to have a great show this morning, to give some very important information. Was a pleasure to me to do this because it's also the first time in this style to do it, and I think it was a very cool idea to do it in this way. So thank you so much to you.
Björn, thank you having me you in the show, and I enjoy it. I hope also all other colleagues that are online enjoy it. Thanks.
Yeah, and also thanks to all the customers, to all the participants outside who looked at this show. We hope the style enjoys you, and we will do a lot of more of this sessions now. We have also tomorrow a session about ACS cars, camera and radar calibration. We have next week the colleagues of Wapco World doing truck diagnosis, truck calibration, and also in 2 weeks we get some more international sessions about Coolius AC systems, Coolius equipment that we have, flushing kits, etc. So if you want, if you have a lot of time for it, or if you feel free to join the show, and yeah, see you next time. Thank you for participating, and see you.